Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's just coming into the evening here. Hello, sweetheart. I've got Gretel on one side, I've got Kim on the other. Who's that behind me? We've got Lucy's butt. And there's lots of other chickens around me in the garden, so I'm hoping that they will come in the shot. I'm so lucky to know these sweethearts. Gretel was rescued from a battery cage the most recently out of everyone. She's pecking my back now. And she's doing so well, so it's just wonderful to see them as they recover. But today I'm going to talk to you about the point of the hen haven, or in particular I'm going to answer a query from somebody who commented on our Facebook post. So this is the post, you may have seen it. It's also the first video in this Project Hen Haven series here on YouTube, and it's just basically giving an outline of the project of what we're trying to do. And somebody commented on that, and I'll read the comment to you and then I'll try my best to answer it. I think if you're watching this, you probably are not of the same mindset as Serban, but I think it's a good idea to comment on it anyway. So Serban says, I know it's kind of cynical, but I would pick another project that has more meaning. Or maybe Australia resolved all other aspects and the hen well-being remained the only important thing to be dealt with. The term hen sanctuary is mind-blowing. Just release them and they'll adapt. Nature will take care of them. So that's a comment that I have already replied to on Facebook, but I thought it would be really good to talk about. Yes, there's a huge number of issues in the world. There's suffering of humans, there's suffering of animals of all species. And for some people, it's really hard to deal with the idea that chickens should be one of the animals that we're concerned about. But Serban's comment has, what he does is highlight how necessary it is for us to keep fighting for animals. And we have to start with those animals. We should fight for all animals and speak up for them wherever we can. But we can acknowledge that chickens are the most abused, some of the most abused in society, some of the least considered, the least thought about. Excuse me, we don't choose friends. I told you that before in another video. In the top there, in case you're wondering who that is, that's Kaiho up there. So we're getting some real beauties in the background today. If we create a society where people are kind to animals, then imagine the kind of world we would live in. It's just because an animal is the most abused or one of the most abused, and most of society is okay with that, doesn't mean that they are right to be okay with that. It just shows how numb humans have become to the suffering of chickens, and that it's such a joke to Serban, and I'm sure to many other people who have left comments like that in the past or who see the post and don't comment. It is a joke. As he said, it's mind-blowing to even think of a hen sanctuary. And yes, if you're facing poverty, if you are dealing with systemic racism and so many other horrible things, it's a lot to get your head around that people maybe care about animals. But the fact is that you can care about more than one thing at once. So you can be against racism, you can be, an anti-racist, you can be wanting to help people who are in poverty, and you can also want to not exploit animals. So it's not one or the other. However, I think saving those most vulnerable is incredibly important, and to me, it gives those that are the very most vulnerable in our society are the animals and the beings that need help. Of course, that makes sense that we have to work hard to speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves and those who are neglected and abused in vast numbers. So I can understand where somebody who's faced with a lot of other issues is coming from, but it just doesn't stand up for me. Like, the fact that other animals and other people are suffering does not take away from the fact that we need to be kind to these animals, to chickens. I think in our society, chickens are thought of as disposable by most people. Just today I was contacted about a chicken who's been dumped in a McDonald's car park in Rose Hill near Parramatta, and I'll be trying to go out tomorrow to see if I can find that chicken. I'm not sure if a hen or a rooster. When the lady spoke to the McDonald's staff, they laughed and they said, oh, that chicken's been there for ages. She called the RSPCA. The RSPCA said that's not their jurisdiction, and they gave them our details. And she contacted me, and I'm just trying to get some more information and then to find out what is happening with this chicken. But a lot of things were shown during those interactions. The first, that someone has dumped that chicken, most likely, and that happens a lot. The second, that people found it funny. The idea of a chicken in a place where many dead chickens are going, or they are, being eaten by others. The third, the RSPCA failing to help, which is very common with chickens. In fact, it happens all the time. So I am grateful to the lady who contacted us, because she's breaking that trend. She is reaching out and trying to help this chicken. So I appreciate that. But I think that what Serban commented is summing up that attitude that led this chicken to be dumped and then led these people to find it funny or not worthy of helping. And that's what we need to tackle. I think if people could find compassion for chickens, and they were taught it in school, as we were talking about previously, they are going to be more compassionate to other animals. So if, for example, Serban cares about cats and dogs, then he will find that people are kinder to cats and dogs once they've begun to see chickens as individuals with likes, dislikes, and different personalities. And Kaiho's come over now, and she's preening this knee. Aren't you, sweetheart? You might see her. She's slightly out of... There we go. There she is. Oh, she's so gorgeous, aren't you? Lick, lick, lick. Lick, lick, lick. Look at this beautiful sunshine. There we go. So, as I said, so the points, if we go over them again, are there other projects that have more meaning? I think there are other very valuable projects. I think there's all kinds of social justice projects that should be seen through. Luckily, people can care about more than one thing. There's a lot of money in the world to go around, and a lot of things are connected as well. Can you be vegan and focus on anti-racism? Yes, you can. It's not, you don't have to be hurting chickens and you don't have to make it your life, as much as I feel like it's an incredible emergency. You can just not hurt chickens, not dump them, not be part of their exploitation, and continue living your life. Perhaps if Serban wants to work on other projects, then he could. So I wouldn't say they're more important. I think if you were to stand in a slaughterhouse where chickens and other animals are being killed and waiting to be killed, or in a factory farm where the animals are suffering, or even if you were in a McDonald's car park and you are the chicken that's just been dumped and you're scared and you're hungry, I think those things are important. And I think that there's nothing funny or strange about wanting to help these animals. And then the second thing is, Serban is summing up why we need to challenge society's views of chickens, and it's people like the child version of Serban that we need to get through to try and get them to respect animals, including chickens, from the beginning. And the idea that Australia's resolved all other issues, and that hen well-being is the only thing that remains. Of course not. Australia has huge issues, and hens, pigs, cows, dogs, cats, so many animals suffer here. But again, the animals that are suffering the most, why don't they deserve the help? Why don't they deserve some of the help? I mean, it makes me think that of other sanctuaries who are doing amazing work. Hello, Dorothy. Dorothy was dumped, actually, with her wings cut very short. It makes me think of other sanctuaries, but they have an easier time fundraising some of the time because they're showing pictures of animals who are more cuddly looking. and who humans may be able to connect with more just by watching videos of them. But there's a cat down there who's not Dylan, so I'm just keeping an eye, making sure he's not hunting any little birds. The chickens are too big, but I don't want him to hunt any wild birds. I call him Finn. I don't know what his name is. he's a hunter, unlike Dylan, so I've got to be careful of him. So yeah, but these other big sanctuaries and with different kinds of animals, they do seem to have an easier time fundraising. I don't want to take anything away from the almost $45,000 that we fundraised towards our hen haven, but we have seen other sanctuaries who have less people following them fundraise amounts like 150,000 within mere weeks. So I think that also sums up how people view chickens as sometimes not as worthy. So if anything, I think Serban's comment highlights the need for our work. And I should just also comment on the just release them and they'll adapt. Well, unfortunately, no. These animals have been domesticated. I mean, if we look at Cody, Harlow and Eve, they have been bred, and you've met them before. They've been bred to say that they're going to grow very large, and their breeding is a cruelty in itself, and they need special care. As we come into summer and the days get hotter and hotter, hens will need special care to keep cool. Many of our girls, including who is preening me, who I think is Kim. I can feel the tap. No, it was Gretel. Sorry, darling. You don't call me Kim. I want credit for this good preening work I'm doing. Hey? What are you doing, sweetheart? So beautiful. Yes, they would be predated, so killed by predators, and perhaps that's what Serban means with nature will take care of them, which is not very nice. And when we've brought them into the world, or humans, we deserve to care for them and make sure they're well cared for and happy for life. So it's really, obviously it's not a very well thought through comment, but I did think it was important to bring up, like, why are we doing this? Do we think there's no more problems in the world? You know, is this the only thing left? No, this is at the root of the problems in the world. The fact that we are being so incredibly violent and neglectful and evil towards animals, and I think that that's the most pressing, like the emergency. And if we were to get this sorted, not only would it be amazing for all the individuals that are currently experiencing the most awful suffering, but it would also change the world. It would truly change the world in so many ways. Hey, Kaiho. Gosh, I'm lucky to be surrounded by these beauties. So the good news is Serban helped me to come up with something to chat about, and I was able to voice on the Facebook post some of what I've spoken to you about today. So I hope that maybe he probably won't, because people don't generally change their mind on Facebook, but it would be nice if he did have a think about that, and that hens are just as deserving as any other animal. I think that so many people do just think of them as objects. And whilst they are beautiful, they're certainly not objects. So they're just the most wonderful individuals. They deserve our help. And thank you. You know, you're watching this, you've donated. It's just wonderful to have your support and to know that I'm not alone in this, and that there's people that care. Anyway, the sun is going down, which means a lot of work ahead for me. This is when I put all the fresh towels in carriers for everyone to get ready for bed. It's once all these guys have gone to bed, it's a time when I let Cody, Harlow and Eve out into the main garden under supervision for them to have a run around and to have a eat of the grass. Don't we, sweetheart? Oh, she's so good. So lovely. Aren't you? And now I just work away from now until about 7:30 or so on. That's about 2.5 hours. Just getting everybody ready for bed, getting everything cleared up, making sure all the food's swept up so that we don't attract rodents, because then the rodents might get killed by naughty cats like Finn. So yes, lots to do, and I will I bet there's so many gorgeous animals we've been lucky enough to see. We've got Cece, a very noisy girl, Cece, the noisiest one. Beautiful Gretel, Dorothy, Lucy, and then we've got our beautiful Kaiho, don't we? Hey? Yeah? Say hello. Okay, well, from me and from Kaiho and from everybody, the whole gang, thank you, and we will see you tomorrow.